A short story by Paul McCann, Spidorcan. The snow thickly covered the hillside like a white carpet. High above the Hoster's farm, a full moon glistened and flickered, a ghostly half-light as far as the eye could see. From the upstairs bedroom window, young Corey Hoster sat looking out the window before him at the picture that was there. Mother Nature had all the beauty on display. The scene resembled that of a magical presence as some clouds began to drift slowly past the moon. Suddenly, the night sky was pierced by a huge fireball. It shot through the air, empty of a warning, and flames pelted from its tail as if it were some kind of strange rocket from another planet. It seemed to disappear just over the hillside. Then Corey heard a definite thud. Animals from the countryside awoke, and some panicked as they ran for cover, as sheep and cows ran out of the barn and chased their shadows across the fields. Corey sat for a while, entranced by what he just saw. Then intrigue got the better of him, and he got out of bed and dressed himself in warm clothes and sneaked out of the house. He ran from the front gate of the farmhouse to the crest of the hill. Under his feet he could hear the velvet sound of newly fallen crisp snow being crushed like some kind of combine harvester rolling across a field of hay. As he made his way to the top of the hill, he stood and gazed back down the valley, and the little farmhouse became smaller. Then as he looked on the other side of the hill, his mouth opened wide in disbelief at the sight of a huge crater that had smoke belching from its side. And all around, a few cows and sheep stood looking into the deep hole. Around the hole, fallen trees lay. Corey made his way to the crater. It seemed about 50 feet wide. When he got there, he looked down into the hole. There seemed no end to its depth. It was clear that whatever had struck the ground must have been travelling at a speed beyond our understanding. Somewhere deep in the hole, Corey could hear a scratching noise that got louder and louder. Then he saw it. Crawling up the inside wall of the hole was a giant spider that jumped out of the hole and stood before Corey, who screamed in fear. The spider was about 10 times bigger than Corey was, who rubbed his eyes a few times. The spider approached Corey and said, "Greeting, young earthling." Corey was astonished and replied, "What?" The giant spider said, "This is planet Earth, am I right?" Stretching each of its 8 legs, one by one. "You can talk?" said Corey. "Sure, we all do on my planet. Don't be afraid, little one." Corey put up just 2 fists and started to wave them in the air and said, "Don't come any closer to me, or I'll let you have it." A large, bright, white light shone from the spider's eyes, followed by some red gas from the spider's mouth. Then the giant spider spun around and around and said, "I promise I won't hurt you. Don't worry." Suddenly the spider started to build a strange web. The base of the web resembled a 3-dimensional cube that had an archway entrance that brought you inside the huge room. That Corey stepped inside and watched with awesome amazement as the speed and precision that the giant spider had built this strange, elastic-like dwelling place. Corey felt very peaceful about this, and a sense of trust came over him as he said, "Either you're just a bad dream, or you're the daddy of all big daddy long legs that the world has ever seen." "Welcome to our planet." Now the two had become friends, and the spider brought Corey inside the spider house. He pointed to the roof, and suddenly it opened up, revealing what looked like a movie picture screen. Suddenly, a sequence of moving images were shown as the spider said, there was I just minding my own business when all of a sudden an extraordinarily polarized galactic storm erupted from the core of our vortex that we sat within. A small cluster of comets then had come into orbit around Spidorcan, my home planet. Corey was impressed and replied, "Spidorcan, so is that where you come from then?" "That's right, my young earthling friend. Most of the inhabitants on my planet have gone into shutdown until my return," the giant spider replied. "Are they all spiders on your planet?" Corey asked. The spider seemed to smile and said, "Yes, as far as we know, earthling." Corey smiled and said, "My name is Corey. Mr. Spider, have you got a name?" "My name is Wide-Eye Corey, but you can call me Whitey," the spider said. "Gee, Whitey, what are you doing here on Earth?" Corey asked. "Oh, well, it's a long story, but you see, we have been coming here for a long time, but no one has ever saw us." "Oh." Corey took a few steps closer to the spider and said, "Tell me about your planet." "Well, Corey, on the surface of Spidorcan, we have different regions for different spiders. In the purple sector, there is enough light for us white eyes, but on the red sector, that is where the hot rocks and the hardbacks live. Green sector gases areas, I suppose, are where our food supply and plants grow on the planet." "Wow, that's fantastic, Whitey. How long are you on Earth for?" he asked. "Well, just long enough to collect some essential food resources," said the spider. "What kind of resources have you come from?" asked Corey. Well, deep in the earth, I have come for worms and small rocks. Then I must gather seeds and other plant life from your planet. They are all, I guess, going to be transplanted on Spidorcan under our purple sun. Things grow much bigger and different than here on Earth." Corey replied, "So is that why Spider Sun can Earth? Is that why the spiders are smaller on Earth?" The spider laughed. "Actually, the spiders that live here on Earth are our friends. If they were to return to Spidorcan, they would grow as big as myself within a short time." "Could I take a photograph of you to show my friends? Have my own camera in my room at Mum and Dad's farmhouse." The spider placed Corey on the ground and said, "Hurry up then, go home and get it, Corey." Corey ran away to the farmhouse and went inside and woke up his parents from their sleep. His dad shouted out from the bedroom, "Corey, what on earth are you doing up so late? Get back to bed right away." Corey never even heard a word he said. He was frantically looking for his camera. In a moment or two, he found the camera, but the batteries were flat, and then, as he had to find some new batteries, looking around, taking some from the clock in the kitchen, and then he ran outside. When he returned to the top of the hill, there were now at least half a dozen giant spiders there. They were all carrying things and digging and working away. Corey took some photos of them and the huge hole where the comet had landed. When Corey had finished taking his photos, Whitey came over, and once again a bright light shone from out of the spider's eyes. Corey smiled as the giant spider said, "Goodbye, young earthling." Corey at once was overcome with tiredness and dropped off to sleep with his camera in his hand. The next thing Corey knew was opening up his eyes and finding the doctor examining him. The doctor called for Corey's mum and dad, who rushed to the bedside. His parents were so happy to see their son was okay. And his mum said, "Corey, thank God you're okay." "Sure, Mum, like why shouldn't I be?" "Because you have been out cold and conscious for a week. We didn't know what to do," his dad replied. And his mum continued, "We found you on the hillside one cold and frosty morning with your camera." Corey sat up in the bed and he said, "Where's my camera?" "Oh, well, we put it in your room," said his dad. The doctor continued to examine Corey. Corey's mum asked, "What on earth were you doing outside at night with your camera, Corey?" "Please, get my camera for me," Corey asked. Well, we don't know what you've been doing, son, so we were told to take your film for processing," said his dad, who passed on a set of photos to him. All the photos were overexposed, except for one of a little spider on the ground. "Are these all the pictures I took?" Corey asked. "Yes, why, son?" his mum answered. "Because I took some of the spider house and the comet in the hole." And Corey's dad raced over and asked, "What is going on, Corey?" "I was just talking to a giant spider," he answered. Corey's mum said, "Don't be silly, Corey. Spiders, they don't talk." "But this one did," said Corey. The doctor placed his hand on Corey's temple and said, "Well, now, Corey, I hope you don't tell that to the whole world. So, shut your eyes now and go back to sleep." Corey exclaimed, "You might think it's crazy, but there was a huge spider came to Earth. The spaceship landed in the hole on the hillside. If you don't believe me, go there and have a look for yourself. Check the hillside." Corey's mum and dad looked concerned, and as the doctor gave Corey an injection, Corey dropped off to sleep. "It's true that there was a comet that hit the Earth the night before we found Corey," said his mum. "So you think there isn't anything to worry about then?" said the doctor. "Oh, after a few days' rest, he'll forget everything," said his mum. Moments later, the doctor took his bag and walked out of the farmhouse. He got into his car and drove up the hill. The front door of the farmhouse was closed, and the doctor's car turned and made a path towards the hillside. In the spot where Corey had said the hole was, the doctor stopped. A bright white light beamed down, and the doctor with his car disappeared. No one knew where it had come from, but strangely enough, one new day on the hillside A new playground had been built. Nobody really knew who had built it or where it came from, but a strange climbing frame with a cube-shaped base and a dome-shaped roof was built with ropes and aluminium. Around this object were swings, slides, and a roundabout. The new children's playground spot had a name. Somebody had placed a sign in the playground with "The playground was now known as Spidorcan." The end.